As more and more people look to go off-grid or build off-grid cabins like I have and put power in them, I've been asking myself this question. Are lead-acid batteries the wagon wheel of the current modern world? Are they ancient history? Is there really any point in getting a lead-acid battery today? Or have LiFePO4 batteries overcome any need to have lead acid? And back in 2010, I got to the point where it was time to put power in my cabin. And of course, I was going to do all off-grid. There was no way I was paying a power company $40,000 to bring in power or whatever they were going to charge, and then have to pay them a monthly bill. And frankly, I didn't want to be on the grid. Well, I did a bunch of research, and in those days, frankly, lithium-ion batteries or lithium ferrous phosphate, which are better, they just weren't available. I mean, well, they were if you had a whole lot of cash in the pocketbook. They were expensive. There was absolutely no way I could afford that. So I looked at AGMs, and I looked at all the lead-acid batteries, the flooded lead-acid batteries, and I looked at Surrettes and all those. And I finally settled on Costco golf cart batteries, often called GCBs. And I started with 6 of them. Back in 2010, 6 golf cart batteries at $89 a piece. Well, that was, that was as much as I could afford. And it worked pretty well. But there's something about lead-acid batteries that's really important to understand, and that is that even though they're meant to be deep discharge, they call them a deep cycle battery, so that you can deeply discharge them and then recharge them back up. If you do that at 50%, which is what they're rated at, you only get 200 to 300 cycles. You are looking at, honestly, about a 3 to 5 year lifespan on those batteries, because nobody's going to run them to 50% every day, theoretically. Because if you did, well, then you're talking 200 days. Nobody's going to do that, right? We don't. We know better. You don't want to discharge them more than about 25%, and I always shot for even less, 10 to 20%. And the reason for that is, like all batteries, including LiFePO4s, the lower the amount of discharge that you use to a point, the longer the life of the battery. If you have a 200 to 300 life cycle lead acid battery, but you only discharge it, say, 20%, you can get 8 to 10 years out of one of those batteries by not abusing it, essentially. Now that, you could change abusing for using, but you do use it. You just can't use 100% of it, or even 50% if you want to get 8 to 10 years. You can only use it about 10 to 20%. But let's use 25% as our number that we're going to use to do calculations today, because I think that's really important to drive home the message that I want to drive home to you. If you've got a 660 amp hour battery bank, then you don't have 660 amp hours you can use. Not really. In fact, at 50%, which is the recommended depth of discharge to get 200 to 300 cycles, you're only going to get 330 amp hours, and that's at 50%. Well, half of that is 165 amp hours. That's it. So if you're only going to use 25% of your battery capacity per day to try to get 8 to 10 years out of those batteries, and I'm going to argue that that's only in a off-grid cabin environment where you don't even live there. So you're not really using them 25% per day. It's more like 25% per day that you're at your cabin. 52 weekends in a year, if you go 26 times 2 days of abusing those batteries, means that you've got 52 times a year, times 10 years is 520 times. That's really what we're talking here. Folks, that's significant. How does that compare to LiFePO4s? And is there a weakness to LiFePO4s? Well, we're going to get to that. But the first thing I want to tell you is what it's like to live with those flooded lead acid batteries, so that when I talk about LiFePO4s, well, you'll hear a different story. Let's put it that way. So with those lead acid batteries, the first thing you've got to do is you've really got to watch them. So I have a trimetric meter from Bogart Engineering, but that meter could tell me the depth of discharge on my batteries at any given point, as well as the voltage or the amp draw or even the watt draw. So with that meter, I could watch my batteries, and believe it or not, I watched them. And if I saw that they were starting to discharge a little more than I wanted, I would run my generator to prevent them from dropping below that, let's say 25%. So that I could say, yes, honey, you can go ahead and use the hair flattener things that she uses, right, or whatever it was. Or, sure, we could flip the internet on when I had internet out there, because you're that cautious about the use of your batteries. With lead-acid batteries, if you want to know the actual state of charge, you have to shut everything off, disconnect your batteries from any charging source or any source drawing off of them, and give them a rest up to 24 hours. Then you had to check specific gravity. So you had to have a wet bulb system that you could drop down into the battery and suck up some of the acid, and it would tell you the specific gravity, and you could use that to determine whether your batteries were balanced or not, or their actual state of charge, what kind of life they had in them, all that kind of stuff. Now with that in mind, you also had to add distilled water. And sometimes every 2 to 3 months. I had water miser caps on my batteries that allowed me to go 3 or 4 months. And then you're going to get some corrosion on your terminals sometimes. You got to clean that off. You're venting hydrogen gas, which hydrogen gas is highly explosive. I see a lot of stuff today with lithium batteries where people are worried about fires and blowing up and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's a lot of bad publicity. One, the old lithium ion batteries weren't very stable. But the new lithium ferrous phosphate batteries are. But guess what? Flooded lead acid batteries blow up too. In fact, light a cigarette around a bank someday that's not properly vented and you'll get smoked. Because hydrogen gas is highly explosive. Everybody knows about hydrogen bombs, right? Well, hydrogen is explosive. Didn't you do that in science class in school? Fill a balloon up with hydrogen and then light it on fire or something like that? I kind of remember some crazy thing like that. It's been a long time though. So in other words, with lead acid, there's all kinds of things that you have to consider, but at the time, they were way, way cheaper than LiFePO4s. LiFePO4s were just not an option for somebody like me back then. So what does all this have to do with whether or not lead is it's gone, it's no good, it's out of date, get rid of it and only go to LiFePO4s? Well, let's talk about LiFePO4s and some of those differences, and then I will tell you what it's like living with LiFePO4s versus living with lead-acid batteries. So let me bring over a battery here because we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about some of the features on these batteries and then explain why it makes a difference. What I've got here is a Lithium 100 amp hour 12 volt battery. That's 12.8 volts, 100 amp hours, which means it's a 1280 watt hour battery. You'll want to see one cut apart. There's a gentleman on YouTube who goes by Will Pros, and he cuts these open, and he really likes these. They're very, very well built batteries. So I'm not going to cut it open. I'm not going to do a amp draw or anything else on it because quite frankly, that's Will Pros' thing. I'm into building cabins and running my sawmill and making my solar power work and playing with power stations. I'm not cutting these open. But let's talk about this battery and why I want to tell you about modern LiFePO4 batteries, because it's not just any battery. I'm talking about modern, right now, today, you go on Amazon and you buy a decent quality battery like the Lithium batteries. What's it going to do for you? Well, this particular battery is not your least expensive one out there. Let's talk about why I'm showing you this battery. Because those 6-volt golf cart batteries were very, very limited. You really had to be careful what you tried to draw off of them and how much you used of them. But modern LiFePO4 batteries, especially this one here, they're a little different. For one thing, this battery has a 200 amp BMS. Now, what's a BMS? Well, BMS is a battery management system. That's something lead acid batteries don't have. Well, the battery management system will actually prevent this battery from drawing more than 200 amps. So if you try to draw that much power, 2,560 watts out of this battery, you can. But if you try to draw 3,000 watts, the battery management system will shut it off and stop that from happening to protect the battery. But you don't get that with lead acid. You can absolutely drain a lead acid battery into damage and do it quickly. But these are protected. They also have weather protection. And by weather, I mean cold and hot. So below 32 degrees, this prevents you from charging it to protect the cells. And I think it's above 140, 150, somewhere around there. It also protects them. Now, a LiFePO4 battery like this one only loses about 3% of its capacity over a given period of time. I want to say that's about 6 months. Whereas a lead acid battery in the same state, unused, etc., is about 15%. Now, let's talk about life cycles. So those flooded lead acid batteries had a 200 to 300 life cycle at 50%. If you really, really took care of them, you could get over 500 cycles out of them. That's pretty good. 8 to 10 years at a cabin environment. Well, guess what? These guys here typically have over 4,000. LiFePO4 batteries with grade A cells have between 4,000 and 5,000 cycles at 100%. depth of discharge. Folks, that's over 10 years. You're talking 11 plus years if you did it to them every single day. Compare that to only 500 plus if you didn't discharge them more than 25%. That's kind of incredible. Now, you might say, but $288 versus about $100 today, right? But this is a 12 volt 100 amp hour battery. So for two of these, $576, you get 100 amp hours. Well, to get 24 volts, you need 4 of the golf cart batteries, which is 210 amp hours today, $400, so it's cheaper. So you got 210 amp hours of golf cart batteries, but they're rated at only 50%. So that means you really have 105 amp hours. And we haven't even got into a bigger system. Let's look at mine. I've got 360 amp hours at 24 volts. That's 9,200 watt hours. To get that same amount, I'm going to need a minimum of 16 lead acid batteries, because 16 lead acid batteries is going to give me enough power that if I only discharge about 25%, I'll have around the same. So if we think about it, 16 to get 24 volts, that gives you 4 batteries in series and 4 sets of series in parallel for 16 batteries. That's 24 volts. That's 210 amp hours times 4, so that's 840 amp hours. So with 16 lead acid batteries, I'd have 840 amp hours, and I could use 210 of those if I wanted to make them last me about 10 years. That's 210 amp hours per time that I drain them. Well, 2 of these gives me 24 volts at 100 amp hours, and I could use all of them. But if I only want to discharge these 50%, then 4 of them, so now you're talking less than $1,200 versus $1,600, and I can drain these. That's 4, so 4 of these, that's 200 amp hours at 24 volts. I could drain them 100 amp hours without even batting an eye. But the truth is, I could drain them all the way and still get way more life. So 2 of these batteries are better than 4 times that amount in lead acid batteries. But there's a problem with these batteries. What's the issue? Well, the issue is that lead acid batteries can operate just fine even down to 40 below. At 40 below, you start thinking about getting them warmed up a little bit so you have more capacity, because you lose capacity. At 0 degrees, in fact, you're only about 50% of total capacity. Well, guess what? LiFePO4s, you can't even charge them until they're above 32 degrees. The battery management system will protect them. They'll allow them to discharge down to -4, but you can't charge them back up, and you could end up damaging them. These, ain't gonna work. They'll be damaged. I had to race out to my cabin to protect my LiFePO4s when it was 30 below. But guess what? It's not that hard to keep them warm these days than your lead acid batteries. But let's talk about living with these and the differences. I mentioned that if I wanted to run a toaster or a microwave or watch a movie or anything else, I would run my generator to protect my batteries. So what about today? Well, my wife wanted to watch a movie last Saturday night. So I didn't want to go fire up the generator. And by the way, I'd been running a 300 watt 120 volt heater in my composter and the 120 volt fan all day without the generator running, with just using solar. I'd also been charging up my batteries for my drills, and I decided, what the heck? I looked at the voltage on the batteries, and they were running about 26.6, which is under load, so they're probably sitting about 90%. Now, I know that 26.6 is 80%, but that's at rest, folks, not under discharge. And I thought, oh, to heck with it. They're LiFePO4, so let's watch a movie. So we watched a movie, and it was a couple hours. We watched Code Talkers. Great movie. Love that movie. You got the television, which is an older one, about 15 years old, so it's not exactly the most efficient. DVD player. You got lights, you got the fridge, and generally just using power like normal. Watched the movie, went to bed, got up in the morning, and my batteries were at 26.2 volts. Well, 26.2 volts, it's about 65%. So that means I'd only used about 35% capacity on my batteries overnight. And I decided in the morning I wanted some sourdough toast with breakfast, and you know what? I just plugged in the toaster and ran it. That toaster runs more than 750 watts. I think it's about 1,000 watts, no problem. Didn't bother my system. And if my wife wanted to use her hair iron things, then she could. I don't tell her, oh, you know, don't use those. We've got to wait till the sun comes up. I got to run the generator. So living with LiFePO4s, as long as you can keep them warm, changes everything. And that is a world of difference from lead acid to LiFePO4s. Lead acid batteries are the wagon wheel of yesterday. Guess what? Goodyear's making rubber tires today, folks, and those rubber tires are called LiFePO4 batteries. And you ought to check out Lithium, because they do make good batteries. Well, folks, I hope that helps somebody make a decision about what to get, because I'll tell you what, if I was doing it all over again today, I wouldn't even look at lead. I would put in batteries like these right here. I wouldn't even need that many of them. Anyway, folks, that's all I've got for you today. I'm gonna drop another video right here for you to check out, and let me know your thoughts, folks. Do you think I'm crazy, or is it time to switch to Lifeboat Force? I'd like to thank Lithium for sponsoring this video with a couple of batteries. Thank you very much, Lithium, for that. I do appreciate it, and I will put them to good use. Folks, you all have a great day. Time to go. The old Jarhead out.